You need to hear this if you're a people person. Know-it-alls and one-uppers exposing the most annoying people. You ever been stuck with someone who just can't stop running their mouth? You know the type. Always gotta have the last word. Always gotta make it about them. Always gotta be the loudest voice in the room. Know-it-alls and one-uppers. Two of the most insufferable, ego-driven, insecure personality types you'll ever encounter. You know exactly who I'm talking about. The person who can't let you finish a sentence without interrupting with, "Yeah, I know," even if what you're saying is pure fiction, or the guy who, no matter what you've done, has supposedly done it bigger, better, faster. But why do people do this? What's the deep-rooted psychology behind it? And more importantly, how can you use this knowledge to manipulate, expose, and even have a little fun with them? By the end of this video, you'll not only be able to spot these people a mile away, but you'll also know exactly how to call them out, play mind games with them, and use this knowledge to build massive credibility for yourself. Let's talk about the know-it-all. You know this person. They're the ones who always seem to have an answer for everything, even when no one asks for it. They could be a coworker, a family member, that guy who always pops up in your Facebook comments with an unsolicited opinion. They're everywhere. And they're hard to avoid. They always have the answer, even when they don't have a clue what they're talking about. It's like they have this compulsive need to be seen as the smartest person in the room, the telltale sign of a know-it-all. It's not just their constant interruptions or their need to dominate conversations, their favorite phrase, "I know." They say it with such conviction, as if it's a badge of honor, and they say it so damn much that it's practically a reflex. It's like they can't help themselves. You could literally make up a random fact, something absurd like, "Did you know that pineapples are actually grown in Antarctica?" And they'll nod and say, "Yeah, I know." Test it sometime. It's almost comical. Just make up a ridiculous story and watch them confirm it, proving that their need to always appear knowledgeable is stronger than their ability to think critically for even a second. It's a fascinating, albeit frustrating phenomenon. But why do they do this? What drives someone to act this way? What's going on in their heads? Is it a need for attention or something deeper? The truth is, most know-it-alls are deeply insecure. They're often masking their own self-doubt and fear of being seen as inadequate. They use their supposed knowledge as a shield to protect their fragile egos. It's a defense mechanism. They think that by always having the answer, they'll appear smarter, more experienced, more important. It's their way of trying to gain respect and admiration. They crave validation, and they think that by being in the know, they'll get it. It's a misguided attempt to feel valued. But here's the thing. Real knowledge is about being open to learning, to admitting when you're wrong, to being humble. Know-it-alls? They miss the point entirely. They're allergic to all of that. They can't stand the idea of being seen as anything less than perfect. They're so busy trying to prove themselves that they miss out on actually learning and growing. It's a self-defeating cycle. And that's why they're so frustrating to deal with. They create an environment where real communication and collaboration are stifled. They shut down conversations, they stifle creativity, and they make everyone around them feel small. It's exhausting, but don't worry. I'm not just going to leave you with the problem. There are ways to handle these folks. We're going to talk about how to handle these folks, how to expose their insecurities, and how to use their own tactics against them. Stay tuned. So you've identified a know-it-all. Now what? Well, now it's time to have a little fun and expose them for the insecure frauds they really are. And I'm going to give you the perfect tool to do it. Here's how you can use this against them. The moment you spot a know-it-all, hit them with something completely ridiculous. Ask them if they've heard of a fake book, a made-up theory, a non-existent law. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Yeah, I know." That's your moment. Call them out. "Oh, really? What's it about?" Watch them squirm. They'll either double down on the lie or try to pivot the conversation. Either way, you've exposed them. The people around you will see them for what they are, a fraud. And the best part? You've done it without stooping to their level. You haven't had to insult them or get into a shouting match. You've simply used their own insecurity against them. It's like holding up a mirror to their BS and watching them crumble. Now you might be thinking, Dr. Phil, isn't this a little manipulative? And you know what? It is. But dealing with a know-it-all is like dealing with a master manipulator themselves. They're manipulating the conversation, manipulating people's perceptions of them. Sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. Chapter 3. Now let's talk about the even more obnoxious cousin of the know-it-all, the one-upper. No matter what you've done, they've done it bigger, better, and probably while blindfolded. You say you got a promotion? They just became CEO. You say you had a crazy experience while traveling? They apparently survived a plane crash in the Amazon jungle. Their entire personality is built around one simple thing: never letting anyone have a moment. And just like the know-it-all, this is pure insecurity at play. They have to be the center of attention, they have to outshine you, and they have to feel superior at all times. They're like emotional vampires, sucking the joy out of every conversation and leaving you feeling deflated. So how do you spot a one-upper? It's easy. They're the ones who are constantly comparing themselves to you, trying to measure up and then go one step further. They're masters of exaggeration, and their stories often defy logic and common sense. But here's the thing about one-uppers: they're incredibly predictable. Their need to one-up you is so strong that they'll often do it even when it makes no sense. And that's their weakness. Once you understand their game, you can start to play it better than them. Chapter 4. So, how do you handle a one-upper? Those people who always have to outshine everyone else in the room. How do you shut down their constant need to outdo everyone in the room? It can be incredibly frustrating, right? Well, just like with the know-it-all, we're going to use their own insecurity against them. It's all about turning the tables. The best way to deal with a one-upper? It's simpler than you might think. Trap them in their own game. Make them realize how ridiculous their stories sound. When they hit you with an absurd story, go even crazier. Match their energy but take it to the next level. They say they caught a 2,000-pound marlin? Act unimpressed and say, "Oh nice. I once caught a prehistoric fish that scientists thought was extinct for 1,000,000 years." Make it sound so outlandish that it's almost laughable. They say they ran a marathon? Say, "Cool, I just did an ultra-marathon. Barefoot, uphill, in the snow, both ways." The more exaggerated the better. Make your exaggeration so blatantly absurd that it forces them to either acknowledge their own ridiculousness or shut up. It's a subtle way of calling them out. Now I know what you're thinking, Dr. Phil, isn't this just stooping to their level? Isn't this just playing their game? And you know what? Maybe it is. But sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire, but sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. You have to show them that their antics are transparent. You gotta show them that their need to one-up is so transparent, so predictable, that even a child could see through it. It's about making them aware of their own behavior. The key here is to not take yourself too seriously. Embrace the absurdity. Have fun with it. The more ridiculous your stories, the more you'll expose the one-upper for the insecure attention seeker they really are. It's a playful way to highlight their behavior. And who knows, you might even have a little fun in the process. After all, life's too short to be taken too seriously. Chapter 5. Now, if you really want to win the long game with a know-it-all or a one-upper, there's one more tactic you need to master. And this one's all about playing the long game. It's not just about quick wins or immediate satisfaction. It's about letting them dig their own hole and then watching them fall right in. This requires patience and a keen sense of timing. The ultimate move? Just let them talk. Let them dominate the conversation. Give them the rope to hang themselves. Allow them to keep going, uninterrupted. Let them keep stacking their lies and over-the-top stories. The more they talk, the more they reveal their true nature. Everyone around them will notice. People aren't as easily fooled as they might think. And then, when they least expect it, drop the bomb. I've noticed that no matter what anyone says, you always have a bigger story. It's almost like a pattern. Watch them panic. Their facade starts to crumble. Watch them try to backpedal. They'll scramble to justify their behavior. Watch them try to explain themselves, but it's too late. The damage is done. You've exposed them for the insecure, attention-hungry individuals they really are. Their credibility is shattered. Now, this tactic takes a little more finesse. It's not for the faint-hearted. You have to be patient. You have to wait for the right moment. You have to be observant. Notice the small details and inconsistencies. But if you can master it, it's the most effective way to shut down a know-it-all or a one-upper for good. They won't see it coming. Because here's the thing, deep down these people are desperate for validation. They crave approval. They're so insecure that they need constant reassurance that they're smart, they're accomplished, they're interesting. It's a never-ending cycle. And when you take away their ability to one-up or to pretend they know everything, you're hitting them where it hurts the most, their ego. It's a powerful move. So there you have it. The next time you encounter a know-it-all or a one-upper, remember what you've learned. Don't let them get under your skin. Don't Don't let them steal your joy. Instead, use their own insecurities against them. Expose them for the frauds they are. And have a little fun while you're at it. So now that you know how to handle these types, let me know in the comments. What's the most ridiculous one-upper or know-it-all experience you've ever had? Let's laugh at these people together. And if you like content that breaks down human behavior, manipulation tactics, and deep psychology, hit that subscribe button. This is Dark Mind Psyop. And I'll see you in the next psychological warfare training session.